20.
Hello and welcome back to MHD Live. Now it's an absolute pleasure to welcome Jane Stacey from Toni and Guy to the studio this afternoon. Welcome, thank you so much for your time. Now I know that you've been at Salon International this weekend, so tell me a little bit about what you've been doing.
Well, it's been so busy for us at Toni and Guy. First of all, in the main hall, we've got a massive stand in there. And we have Toni and Guy Essentials, but also our product company, Label M. And what we do is we have like a huge stand right in the, it's pretty much in the center of the hall. And we have demonstrations running all day on there. So from 10 in the morning and from there on the hour until, of course, the event shuts, we've got demonstrations of 2 cuts and a colour. So our art directors get up there and show the newest looks and the newest trends that we're working on for the next season. So it's pretty exciting. We have compares up there. We've got products everywhere, you know, books, magazines being sold on the stand as well. But apart from that, yesterday being Sunday, we had one of the biggest shows we've done in a really long time. You know, this year we celebrate 50 years of Toni and Guy. So we put on a great big show for everybody. We had about just over 300 in the audience, I believe. And we had hair from not only what we're doing currently, but we had our history hair. So we had hair from literally going way back into the early 80s, where we started doing education and seminars and shows. From there we went on to editorial hair, we went on to London Fashion Week, and then also from there we then had our new collection, which we've called 50/50. And 50/50 is all about a tribute to being 50 years old, of course. So we actually showcased that as well. So, you know, it's been a massive event. We had, I can't even tell you how many models, probably about 40 or 50 models in the show as well. So massive, massive event. And in that, what we do is we release our newest collection. I said it's called 50/50. And it's all about taking ideas from the past years and combining them with what we're going to see in the current or in the future, and creating new looks that are out there for the consumer and also for hairdressers as well. So we've been doing a lot, loads, yeah.
I mean, obviously you're a brand that never ever stands still. I know that fashion is really at the heart of what you do. So tell me about the key trends that you have seen emerging for 2014.
Okay, well, of course, you know, with our collection, I can talk to you about that quite a bit, because, you know, that's what we sort of, every year we release a new collection, and this season we're seeing lots of different looks. I mean, you're always going to have blondes, brunettes and redheads within colour, which is what I do. I take care of all the colour side. So for us as technicians, what we're seeing is, you know, we're still working with a little bit with those, the dip dye or the ombre, but what we're doing is really we're taking it up and working it a little bit more into the front and into the fringe areas, to make it key points and focal areas. And it's really having a contrast of the lightness through the front and then a different colour through the back, or vice versa, but it's really bringing out those fringes. Or then we're having lots of block colouring where you can see panels of colour work through the hair. But then going from there, we're also incorporating what we're calling scratching, where it looks like the hair's being scratched with colour, which is quite cool as well. And again, using all different tones and shades. Within the haircuts, again, working with lots of fringes. So we're going everything from little short fringes, which are a little bit more blunt, to slightly longer fringes, which got a bit more detail in them, and then lots and lots of texture in the hair as well. Always longs, short and medium, of course, in lengths and different textures, different shapes. But for us, it's really about the fringes and having a little bit more of that contrast of colour in there as well.
Well, I mean, talking about colour, would you say that there are colours that remain classic, you know, must-haves that women always want, regardless of the year or of the season?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, I think that's always going to be the case. Probably not so much the tones of colour, but probably the application of colour more than anything. So, you know, classic highlights have been around for such a long time, and I don't think it's ever going to go away. And I think lots of women like that because it looks more natural. It looks like they've got that natural highlight in their hair and they've got that little bit of texture in their hair, but it's kind of not done yeah. But I think what we're doing is, we're still doing that, but we're evolving it a little bit. So now we're introducing a bit of balayage, so you paint colour into the hair instead of using the foils method, or of course the tipping cap, which was many, many years ago. So not so much that, but more of that freehand look. So it's still a highlighted look, but it's just a bit softer. But I think women are always going to have or wear highlights or something that's going to be softer in the hair. That's never going to go away.
And I mean, moving on, staying on the subject of colour, but moving on to education, how important do you think education is to the work that you do in the salon?
Oh, it's vital. It's vital. You know, product companies come up with different products. You know, every week we get something new coming through. So especially as a technician, it's really important that what we do is keep up to date with what that product does, how it works, how it's going to affect the hair. And because it's very chemistry based, of course, you know, we're using a chemical on the hair. It's important as a technician to understand what it's going to do, how it's going to work, you know, how to lift one colour to the next colour, what it's going to do, what effect it's going to have on the hair, not only as a colour, but as a texture result. So is it going to sensitise the hair? Will it not sensitise the hair if we use it? Also on that though, I think we also have to keep up to date with educating ourselves on what the new looks are. Because if we don't sort of educate, well, we're going to have fringes this season. If we don't educate ourselves on that, we get stuck and we get left behind. So we're doing maybe old-fashioned colours, but you know, it's not what's going on. We want to be able to do something that's new, it's fashionable for our clients and our models, of course, you know, to keep everything moving. Everything has to evolve and move on. So for us, education is key, and as a company, as Toni and Guy, that is one of the things that we really, you know, we dedicate ourselves to, is education. We're continuously being educated all the time, myself as well, but we also educate other people with, or other hairdressers with the same sort of trends as well.
So it's really at the heart of what you do.
Absolutely, and it's important, really important, yeah, of course.
Well, listen, thank you so much for taking the time out to come today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Great, thank you very much as well. Thanks, Emma.
Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. Mm. Yep, perfect. Thank you. Good, thank you. Pleasure as well.
You're a bit nervous now.
Salon International launched in 1973 at the Royal Lancaster Hotel in London and has moved through various venues, but is now at the XL Centre in London's Docklands, which is a world-class exhibition centre and frankly is the only place that can cope with the volume that we have at Salon International. We have 46,000 visitors coming from around the world, and 20% of those are from overseas, coming from 66 countries at the last count last year, from far-flung corners. It really does attract hairdressers from literally all four corners of the globe. Internationally, Salon International is recognised as the place to come for inspiration. British hairdressing is the best in the world, and we host that best in the world. It's kind of best in class at the show. So it's inspiration, education, new product launches, new trend collections. The teams are all there launching their latest collections for 2014, and the manufacturers, they're launching their latest developments and products for the future. One of the highlights for me is always seeing the British Hairdressing Awards gallery and seeing those images all together for the first time, and particularly the British collections too, because they haven't been seen by anybody. They're not published anywhere before they're shown at Salon International. The work is absolutely incredible, and it's just makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. It's just spine tingling and beautiful. We've got a huge number of free live stages in the hair show, so visitors can come and see their heroes up close and personal on stage, and to be inspired, educated and informed. And there's lots and lots of content this year for people to see, which is great. It's always fantastic to see all the new trends being set and the new product launches, because there's always innovation in this market. In addition to the education on the actual free stages in the hair show, we have a live and seminar content programme where you can literally see the best of the best. and they share everything. I mean, that's the fantastic thing about this industry. Nobody's precious. They will share how they've done it and how salons can take it back into their salons and translate it. The future is all about growing the show, but in terms of adding more benefits to it, this year we've launched a barber competition in recognition of the growing men's market, and we're also launching a creative competition for students. It's trying to embrace the industry and make sure that we're delivering what the industry needs. Really, Salon International is the hub for everything that comes into the industry, so we're just there as kind of a conduit really to let people showcase, show off and inspire.
MHD, online, affordable, accessible. An easy-to-use resource for students and tutors. Globally unique. Accessible to over 4,400 desktop and mobile devices, MHD ensures education takes place at any pace, any place, any time.
Welcome back to MHD Live. Now it's an absolute pleasure to have Mr. John Vial in the studio, who is Creative Director of Fudge.
That's exactly me.
John, welcome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for attending with such wonderful sartorial excellence like you always do, Emma.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Now, I know it's been a very, very busy year for you, so tell me, what have been the highlights so far?
My God, it's been a crazy year actually. We've done lots of amazing things since our acquisition with Fudge. And what we try to do is really work with some incredibly like-minded people, because I think that, you know, those kind of collaborations can inspire you as a brand. So we've done lots of work with Rankin, the photographer. He did a whole collection for us that went live on the web, which is amazing. I think usually you get about 12 pictures in a day. And I think that day, I mean, I have to be honest, there was a team of about 25 assistants working with Rankin, but I think we got 57 images, which was quite amazing. You know, it was an amazing pace, so that was quite amazing. Then we did a great project with him down in the Tate, in the gallery down in the Tate, which was amazing. We have been doing lots and lots of pop-ups with Zaha Hadid, who's, I think, probably the most important and iconic architect of our time, actually. So we've been doing pop-ups with here in London, and we're now going to Baku in Azerbaijan, which will be exciting. We're going to do a pop-up there, and we're also going to do a pop-up with Zaha in Art Basel in Miami. So that's going to be quite exciting. And we have been working at some of the shows. So we did that amazing show with Philip Tracy, you know, where he used all of, you know, Gaga came, which is all a bit like, oh my God, Gaga's here. So that was great. And what was extraordinary about that was all of the outfits actually. You know, Philip's hats were amazing, but what was incredible was all of the outfits were at Michael Jackson's archive. So, you know, I was stroking the Thriller jacket. It was quite amazing. So, you know, it's been amazing to work with those kind of people and collaborate with them, because I think it, you know, I think I've always tried to work with the very, very best, you know, in my whole history, working with brilliant people at Sassoon's and you know, just working with the best. And so we've carried on doing that really at Sassoon's and at Fudge, you know, like we did at Sassoon's. And for me, that's been an incredibly exciting year. It's been chaos and more to come this year. It's all going to be a bit mad. Well,
it sounds incredibly diverse. I mean, tell me a little bit about your role as creative director at Fudge.
I mean, I think, you know, I think the words creative director are always used a bit willy-nilly, to be honest with you. But from where I see and what I have to do for Fudge is really ensure that our brand is synonymous with all of our key values, really. So it's about collaborating with the right people. It's about working with great hairdressers, which we've been incredibly fortunate to work with amazing hairdressers all around the world. And it's about really ensuring that the image that we perceive, we want to be perceived as correct, really, and so that it's you know, about, it's about collaborating with great people, whether that's hairdressers or architects or artists or photographers or, you know, whatever it is. And that's, I think as the creative director of any brand in any arena, that's really what it's got to be all about, making sure that you are producing the right brand values, really.
Now, moving on to the men's side of things, I mean, we love what's happening at London Collection Men's. So why do you think that that side of the industry has just become so big at the moment?
It's been interesting for me personally because during again, you know, you can talk about your history, can't you? And working with Sassoon, it was incredible that Vidal wanted to sponsor the London collection, the London Fashion Week, which we did, which was an amazing thing to do. And so it was interesting because I always worked sort of pretty much on the female side of it. And then I was talking to the British Fashion Council with Michelle Feeney, who's my boss, who's an incredible maverick. And they were saying, oh, you know, we're going to start doing London Collection Men's. Are you interested? And we were like, God, yeah, that would be an amazing thing because Fudge essentially is a 60% male brand. And of course, male grooming has just become bigger and bigger. It's actually the fastest, I'm not saying it's the biggest part of the beauty industry, but it's certainly the fastest growing. And so what's interesting about that is, you know, it's becoming more and more normal for people for men to be associated with beauty. So, you know, and it takes a lot of, I think, you know, historically, if you look back, it takes a lot of sportsmen really to endorse that. And, you know, 25 years ago, Kevin Keegan having a perm was a big deal. You know, Dennis Rodman having a bleach in the 90s was a big deal. You know, Beckham having braids was a big deal. Rooney having a transplant was a big deal. And what we've realised is once those boys start to endorse the fact that it's okay to look after yourself and to be cool, you know, to be cool and have nice skin and look after your hair and all that sort of stuff, we realise that the male grooming part of our business is massive. And so it was a natural progression to start sponsoring London Collection Men, which has been amazing. And of course, I've worked for many years with one of my best friends, who's Louise Wilson at St Martin's, and it's just amazing to be working with those kids coming out of there again. So, you know, we've sponsored loads of Richard Nicol and James Long and Christopher Shannon, and you know the list goes on and on. It's amazing to work with them because again, you're inspired constantly by those people who are still part of what you do, but they're slightly outside your arena.
I mean, it's an exciting time for the brand, clearly, but why do you think that fashion and hair have become so inextricably linked?
I think the truth of the matter is that, you know, it's an old cliche to say, isn't it? But the truth of the matter is actually hair is the one accessory you never take off. And I think, you know, we all know as hairdressers that, you know, if a client's like, oh, I've got a dress, it's not bad, you know, but if the dress is kind of okay, but the hair's brilliant, then they can still go out. If the dress is amazing, but the hair lets them down, it's all over. And so it's an absolute, and well, it's a part of what we do as fashion. And I think that it is truly the one accessory you never take off. And so it's absolutely essential that we get that right. And I think, you know, for me, I think the days of trends have gone. I don't think it's, you know, in the 60s, if you didn't have a little bob and a miniskirt, you weren't trendy. Those days have gone, and I think women are much more empowered than they ever were before. And I think it's time for women to say, this is what I am, this is how I want to look, and as long as I look sexy and I'm part of what I am, then that's on trend as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So moving on to education now, why do you think that education is so important to, you know, everything that you do in your role?
I think that education essentially is the lifeblood of any, you know, great brand or any great, you know, without education you're lost, aren't you, really? That's the truth of the matter. And I think that, again, you know, I can only talk about my personal experience, but, you know, if you want to be successful within the hairdressing arena, I think you have to surround yourself with the very best. And I think that, you know, for me personally, I'd rather be the weakest player in the very strongest team than the strongest player in the weakest team. And that all boils down to, I mean, of course there's a bit of God-given talent for anybody involved, but it really boils down to, you know, education and practice. And without that, you know, you can't be successful. I don't believe you can be successful. I think even the very best in the world at whatever they do still practice. And that way you never really stop learning. I think that's massively important for us as hairdressers.
And finally, just quickly, what's your advice to aspiring hairdressers who look up to the things that you're doing and who want to emulate that?
You know, I really believe that it's really important that you work with like-minded people, that you want to be the very best at your field, and I think you have to be quite humble about that. And you know, one of my CEOs once said to me that, you know, the truth of the matter is A players hire A players and B players hire C players, and I think you ought to always aim to be an A player, and that way you'll be successful.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
It's been a pleasure speaking to you,
and you
thank
too.
you for taking the time. I really appreciate it. See you soon, I hope.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Hello, welcome to MHD Live. My name is Stacey Broughton. I'm going to give you a little bit of information on my background and where I come from and how I got into hairdressing. I was helping my brother out in a salon in Leeds, probably around about 1974, which is a long time ago. And there was a lady there called Angela, and she recommended me to go to Vidal Sassoons in Leeds. Well, I knew nothing about fashion, I knew nothing about hair, or who this person Vidal was. I walked into the salon and asked to speak to the manager, which was Nigel Boswell, and he interviewed me there and then, and I started work there 2 weeks later. When I was training in Sassoons, I had various people looking after me. There was Jill Daly, she was great and very supportive of me. She became the manager of that salon. There's a guy called John Bagnall, was one of the key people in educating me, and Russell Eaton, plus various other people. From there, I did a final test, and that was in London, and that was done by Darryl Benson, and I became a stylist. I was desperate to get into education, but at that time I needed experience, because the experience is what you pass on to others. But I started travelling not long after being a stylist, and my first trips were to Italy, and a guy called H. Peters, who was the art director in London, he looked after me on a lot of these trips. And from there I travelled to the rest of the world to show Vidal Sassoon techniques and trends and fashion. And one of the guys that was with me was Christian Gardner, who's an amazing, extraordinary colourist. And from this, I grew in Sassoons. I became an art director. I worked with Tim. Tim was in the barbershop at that time when I was training. He became art director of the salon. I became his assistant art director. And gradually Tim went to London. I stayed in Leeds, became the art director there. And then eventually I needed to branch out and spread my wings, and I left Sassoons. I went to live in Hong Kong. It was a place I'd always wanted to go. So I spent, I don't know, 3 or 4 years out that side of the world, and I was with a girl called Jules Chan. She was my partner. We were together for many years, and we set up a school there. We had a great time in Hong Kong and in Asia, educating people and experience the culture and the lifestyle. So I came back from Asia and rejoined Vidal Sassoons, and that was in London this time, so I was permanently in London. And I was in the salon, and gradually I got addicted to the whole thing about education and wanted just to be in education all the time. But I became a very, very busy stylist, then got promoted to be art director again, and then senior art director. So it was very difficult to get out of the salon because I was so busy.
MHD Essential Foundation Techniques revisited, refreshed and renewed, delivered in a modern forum by industry giants with profound expertise and experience from session, salon and education arenas.
And welcome back to MHD Live. Now it's my absolute pleasure to welcome into the studio this afternoon Dove Palmer and Antonia Cometa from Mazella&Palmer. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, it's nice to be here.
So again, another two who've come over straight from Salon International over at Excel. So tell me, what have you been doing there this weekend?
Well, you know, the last sort of 2 years, actually 3 years now, we've been doing the Hairdressers Journal stand. We've done sort of a short presentation with some sort of techniques and cutting, and then shown our sort of latest collection, which we sort of release. The new collection is called Kanji, and this is based on Kenzo. Really the clothes. The hair, to be honest, the way we work is we work with every sort of model as an individual. So whether we're in one country or another country, the hair can change from country to country, but the actual sort of theme stays the same with the clothes, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I think on the colour side, we were kind of aiming to go with something very kind of soft and pretty, and that whole kind of idea, when you think of Kenzo, it's all the sort of flowers and the butterflies, and it's very feminine and very kind of really soft. really lovely look.
We actually work with the Fudge products, which are a fantastic, not just product range for styling, but the colour range. You found it to be one of the best you've worked with,
It's one of the best I've ever used, and I think from sort of going around the world and using a different colour range everywhere I go, it's quite difficult sometimes to actually, you know how colours are going to react, but this one is just absolutely spot on, and then they have the paint box as well if you need any touching up, so it's really nice.
And talking about, you know, the fact that you do travel so much, do you see that trends vary internationally? Is that something that you're aware of?
I think they do. I mean, I think everywhere you go in the world, you have your sort of groups of trends, like you do in London, I think like you do anywhere. You have people, you know, that are quite sort of classic in the way they look. They want, you know, the sort of very basic colours. And then you have these slightly alternative people who are a bit more open. And then, you know, you have some different kind of groups of fashion trends that are just like, do whatever you want. And that for us is quite exciting, really, because if a model says to us, you know, just go all the way, for us it's amazing because we can really kind of release our creative, you know, in ourselves.
But, you know, it's almost because I can go the opposite way as well. When someone says, do whatever you want, you can make it, oh, I wasn't. Yeah, like, what am I going to do now? You know, so it's sort of quite exciting. But you know, with the fashion trends that you see around, I mean, you know, I think bobs are always very, very fashionable. If you look at what Chanel did this year on the catwalk, they were working with these sort of soft, choppy sort of bobs with the flicked out edges, which are always sort of very popular. And I think what's so popular about bobs, from, you know, when we're working in Asia and to Europe, is that it's a shape that actually frames the bone structure. So it works with anybody, and it's been very, very popular, you know, throughout all the countries. You know, these sort of looser shapes, but with a sort of strength and definition to them as well.
And what about colour? What are the key trends that you see emerging for 2014?
Well, I think, to be honest, we always, Mazella&Palmer, we always sort of focus very, very closely on the individual. So, you know, through the sort of different, you know, spring, summer, autumn, winter, as, you know, people's complexions change and, you know, the state of their hair changes as well, I think this always kind of tends to, everybody's got a sort of range they can go in between. And it really should be suited very much to themselves, and not sort of trying to pick, you know, what somebody else has got. That's what's really important. That's what's so important with our education, is everything is focused on the individual, which, you know, then it's I think it's more special for them as well.
It's all about personalisation.
Absolutely,
for you guys.
yeah. It's a very tailor-made business that we're in, and just sort of picking a picture, saying, let's put that on you. You know, that you don't look like that person. So it's, you know, we really try and kind of focus on that. But obviously working with, you know, we always like to keep an eye on fashion and things because it's very heavily influenced in our industry. So yeah, it's...
That's good. And personalising it at the same time is key.
Absolutely, yeah, just sort of tweaking it and, you know, still keeping with the fashion, but, you know, tailor-making for the individual.
So what's next for Mazella&Palmer? I'm sure you've got exciting things ahead.
Lots and lots and lots.
Well, I mean, Antonia and JB are off to Russia next week with Alexi Trishan. He's one of the people who looks after my hairdresser out there, and he also has Sims products, which is an amazing product range, and that's a colour course, isn't it?
Yes, it's the first ever Mazella&Palmer colour course, colour only. So I'm very excited about it as well, because I've finished off all my
exclusive, isn't it?
Yeah, we finished you know, the first part of the colour education. So.
And then we're very, very lucky. I mean, we just came back from doing the Weller Trend Vision in Taiwan, and we were the guests, you know, for this, and we were the judges as well. And we've just been contacted to do one in Vietnam. Oh wow! So yeah, in a few weeks we're going off to Vietnam for about 9 days. We're doing 2 different areas. We're
doing Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi, so we're going from the north to the south.
Yeah. And it's going to be a nice mix of things, because it's not just going to be about precision cutting, but with our new collection, going back to what we were talking about earlier on, with the cutting side, I mean, it's looking at working quite structured haircuts, but working flatter panels with straps of hair that can be dressed up into rolls, into different sort of shapes on top of the head, or even on the side of the head. So what they want there at the show is a mixture of not just sort of strong cutting, but also some dressing as well. So for us as a company, it's taking us in a different direction and giving us a good opportunity to sort of try a few sort of fresh ideas that we've been playing with.
It sounds exciting. There's certainly a lot going on. Yeah. So are you guys heading back to Salon International?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, as soon as we finish here, we're getting in a taxi. We're very lucky. We exclusively work with a brand called BMAX Scissors, and they have a stand there. So my partner JB, my business partner JB, he's actually on the stand now, meeting clients, sort of, you know, talking to them about those. But also we're doing a few different sort of client meetings for future events that we're holding over the next sort of year. So it's very exciting.
So it sounds like the business won't stand still ever.
Yeah.
Certainly not.
It's exciting times.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your insight.
It's
It's lovely to get a bit more
Yeah.
information on your business, and we hope to see you very soon.
Yeah, we look forward to
Thank
seeing
you.
you.
Great.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
It's always great to work as a team, and I've been very fortunate to work with some of the best team in the world. People I would like to accolade are Tim Hartley, Jill Daly, obviously Vidal Sassoon, Christopher Brooker, Russell Eaton. I would like to accolade certain colourists. These are Josh Woods, Annie Humphreys and John Beeson, Charmaine Piche, Leona Curran and Tracy Hayes. Other people I've really enjoyed working with on myhairdressers.com is Andreas Kirkovitz and Cristiano Lanza. The marriage between cut and colour is really, really important.
Hi, we are Enna, and this is our team.
The best thing about working here is just the team I work with, if I'm honest. I feel very fortunate to be part of such a talented team and just to work with individuals that I respect so much. It kind of sets the atmosphere, it sets the energy, you know. You want to go in to a place where people enjoy being at work, but also from a client's point of view, if you're going to have, say, more than one service, say if you're going to have colour followed by a haircut, I think that part of teamwork is really important as well, where the colourist is working together with the cutter, if you like, and in front of the client. That way the client feels at ease all the way through. We're really encouraged to sort of engage as much as possible with each other. We constantly do team building exercises.
There's so many different transitions within the salon, from walking into the salon, from going to meeting the receptionist, it's for then the receptionist to communicate to either an assistant or a stylist to then bring them through into a certain area, making sure that your colourist and cutter is working entwined with each other to make sure that the consultation is thorough. You really have to be honest with each other, but such a big thing will be respect.
We try and create in the salon like a homely family feel, and I think clients appreciate to see that people are working together harmoniously as well.
You often get comments from clients or models when we have a big group of models and all of the team together that, wow, you guys actually do really like each other, don't you? Not only can us as stylists interact between each other as we're working, but the clients like to too, and they like to hear all about the things that we do, like the Go Ape, going to Paris and shows with Alalon and doing things like that. They love to feel involved in that.
Putting good people together is likely to create a good team, really. Assistants are a very, they're very important part of the team because they do actually spend a lot of time with our clients, and it is very important for a stylist or a colorist to fully trust our assistants. They actually, I think they are one, along with the receptionist, one of the most important person for everything to run smoothly, really. They are the perfect link between every floor, between receptionist and stylist, and between stylist and colorist.
Well, it's been a great journey, building a team of individuals which, they themselves are on a journey, as we all are. But I think the key is finding individuals that we can give people kind of the hands to do what we need them to do. But finding people with the right kind of soul and the right attitude towards their work is key. So once we've found that ingredient, the rest of them, myself and Johnny have been lucky enough to acquire our own skills in our past, and we're able to pass them, them skills on to our team.
And welcome back to MHD Live. Now it's a pleasure to introduce Stelios Chandros from Vision in London. Welcome, thank you so much for your time today. Now you're originally from Greece.
Yes, from
so
Athens.
We have some questions from the MHD Greek team, and the first question that we've been asked is, how did you actually get involved in the hairdressing industry?
Okay. Well, my uncle, he opened one of the first ladies salons in Athens in the 60s. So my mum used to take me, obviously not in the 60s, but yeah, fringes. Yeah, it was great. I mean, I think probably one of the favorite looks was when we did Simone Rocha with James Pessis, and the look was this slick ponytails on top, and then we backcombed the hair, so we made it like an actual dreadlocks, and then we knotted the dreadlocks into a mohawk. So can't really go wrong. Beautiful girls with mohawks, you know.
Yeah.
It was a great look. I think that was my favorite look of the season.
And how do you take those looks and translate them back to your clients in the salon?
Well, I think you can every look. You can kind of get little details and adapt them to clients. Obviously, you're not going to take the whole image and put it into a client, but I think little details that you can interpret, and obviously suitability as well. But you can get little details when it comes to texture as well. You can work, you get the same haircut, but you can play with the texture. So instead of, I don't know, creating curls or blow drying straight, you can kind of go in between or play with a kind of that dreaded texture that we used, for example, which is a little bit of back combing and then clamp iron and then dress it out and then brush it out, so you have that kind of slightly frizzy look, which can be beautiful. So I think it's just little details that you take and you kind of use them on your clients.
And personalise them.
And personalise them,
them.
yeah, of course.
And what part of hairdressing do you love the most? What is it that really inspires you?
I don't know, because I try to get involved in most of the aspects of the hairdressing industry, like from education, doing clients, still doing clients. I still love doing clients once or twice a week. Traveling, doing fashion shows, photo shoots, campaigns. So I think I'm a person that gets bored easily. So I try to do as much as possible within the industry to keep motivated. So I think that's what I love most, doing a bit of everything and keeping a balance and just checking what's everywhere, what's everything out there.
And keeping it all fresh.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I think it's important.
So what are the goals for you professionally?
The goals for me? Well, I don't know, keep on what I'm doing, pushing the boundaries, learning as much as I can, creating beautiful hair, exciting hair, working with great photographers, and getting involved in fashion shows and all that, so I can be updated with the latest trends and travel the world, doing seminars.
Actually touching on that, what about education? How important is that to what you do and to your brand?
Well, education is a very important thing for, first of all, personal development and evolution, and as well for the business is very important. Important thing to do to make your business, to bring it into the next level, I guess. So it's really important, education, and apart from, for me it's very important because the more I learn, the more I need to take them out of me, so I have more space to learn more, you know. So, and I think it's great for younger people to learn things, and it's very fulfilling anyway. And when someone says to you, oh, you know what, I've learned something from you, I think it's a great feeling.
And actually touching on that, what's the best bit of advice that you've ever given?
Well, I had a few. I guess work hard, be next to someone who's very good and you admire a lot and you can learn a lot, get a good mentor basically. Don't think about money, because you don't really do hairdressing for money anyway, I think. It comes, it'll come in the future, but I think the main thing is to have passion, be driven, motivated, self-motivated as well, and get someone who is willing to teach you things, and work and train hard.
And if you put the effort in, then you will eventually reap the rewards.
Yeah, exactly, it'll come, but you know, a lot of people, I guess in every profession, a lot of people want to get famous before they know what they're doing, you know? A quick fix, but whatever goes up, goes down very quickly. So you really need to look and learn your craft, and then it'll come everything, you know?
Yes, do everything for the right reasons. It's good advice, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
And it's obviously worked for you, hasn't it? In your
I mean, I'm still trying, I'm still learning. I'm doing it for more than 15 years, so I don't know. As long as I keep myself excited, I'll keep on doing it.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing insight into your business. It's been lovely having you here.
Welcome.
Thank you for taking the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was instrumental in a lot of collections within Vidal Sassoon. This is only due to hard work, and eventually they moved me into the Advanced Academy, and that was thanks to Simon Ellis. So the journey in the Advanced Academy was to explore new boundaries, new area in hairdressing. But we need to still embrace suitability and style. These are paramount to making something look great. From that, I really got into production, such as filming, and we developed our own filming techniques. And that is where I started working with a fella called Andrew Gilbert. So it's great to be working with Andy. So we developed our editing skills and filming skills together. But what was fantastic about this was that Tim Hartley pushed our skills and our creativity. But we were so passionate, and he knew that. So Tim was really behind building a team that was hairdressers that became something extra. So we're encompassing photography and video. So what was great about the Advanced Academy is that we were exploring new areas. We were increasing our skills. Yeah, in the very early days we could really see a great value in moving image. And we managed to push Tim and Philip into letting us hire particular equipment such as tracking and also overhead cameras, using cameras at different angles, and also we experimented more with lighting. We started to introduce keener flows, which is a particular style of lighting. We reduced the power on the HMI lighting, and we started to create more atmosphere with our filming. We're trying to create detail so that the information you got when you watched a video was better and better. So as hairdressers, we could add great value, and what this did, it helped product development. The product development was very important, and the product development to me was the videos that we were doing. So as we've progressed now with myhairdressers.com, the filming is even more detailed. And even when we began My Hairdressers 5 years ago, the filming then was really good, but when we look at it now, we can see how much we've changed and developed, and the skills of editing, the skills of filming, lighting, photography, everything is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So life is basically a development, and you have to keep searching for new boundaries, because people say if you keep doing the same thing, you get the same results. So we're always looking for new things and developing skills in ourselves and in others. One other element that we used to talk about, especially I used to talk this with Simon Ellis, and that was for live streaming. And it was something that was not possible at that time because of cost and facilities and equipment, but it was something that we always dreamed of.
Hello, I'm Grace Carter and I'm here on day 3 of London Fashion Week. This evening I'll be taking you behind the scenes of the one and only Philip Treacy, hat designer to some of the hottest celebrities.
I am the creative director for Fudge, and I'm here at the Philip Treacy show at the Royal Courts of Justice, which is an amazing building. So Philip Treacy for me was a really important collaboration because we want this brand to be taken seriously. We're a creative brand. We really want hairdressers to be empowered with the product and be able to create incredible things. And so working with Philip Treacy, Zaha Hadid, Professor Louise Wilson from St Martin's, all of those people are icons in their industry and they're true creatives. And I think that what we're going to do is give people the tools in terms of product to really enhance their own creativity.
My inspiration behind the look for the Philip Treacy look was, well, it's all about Michael Jackson, and the models are all wearing Michael Jackson's clothes. And so in that, I got the inspiration with Philip and stylist Katie England. And so together, we just came together with the look. The hats are really quite big and creative. So we just wanted to have a small, tight head, but we wanted a little bit of detail. You know, we've used a lot of the products from the Fudge, the Skyscraper, and our serums and our gels.
So now I would like to welcome a renowned session stylist, Snowdon Hill, to the studio. Snowdon, thank you so much for coming into the studio today.
My pleasure.
Taking time out from your busy schedule. Now, I know you have a client list to die for and you're regularly travelling the world, but what is it that made you launch a career in hairdressing?
I mean, from a very early age, I sort of I fell into hairdressing. You know, I used to have a horse, so I used to play with its tail and stuff. And then as it sort of, I really developed into, I really liked hairdressing. I just like the way it changes a way a person feels. Do you know what I mean? You know, it has so much sort of emotion and power to it, really. And it sort of just came naturally, and I just seemed to sort of grow with it, really. But I absolutely love hairdressing. I really do.
And what would you consider to be, your first big break in the industry?
Well, I moved from New Zealand to London. I worked at Nicky Clark, but I think my first real break was working for Guido Palau on the international fashion circuit. So, and that, and within a month, I had done New York, Milan, London, Paris, from Versace to Prada to Alexander McQueen and Gucci, all these shows that I'd sort of only seen in glossy magazines. And then next minute I'm like literally at the forefront of it within a month of moving to London. So, and from there, that was 18 years ago. And from there it's sort of just growing and growing really, and I've loved every minute of it.
Very exciting to be part of Guido's team for so long.
He is amazing.
I bet you've had some wonderful experiences. So let's talk a little bit about trends. Obviously you work backstage. What do you think are the key trends that are coming forth for 2014?
There is a lot of fringes coming in, shorter and longer, and also a lot of updos, whether it's a ponytail or a twist, it's sort of, and small heads, it's very tight, whether it's sort of hair or you know, on the sides. It's all very tight and small, but it's a lot of the hairstyles for the major fashion shows were up this season.
And what's in your kit bag? What can't you leave home without?
Fudge Skyscraper and also Babyliss Pro session styling tools. I love them. It's like the hair dryers to the curling tongs, the electricals I can't live without.
And what would you say are the standout moments in your career so far?
Gosh, you know, it's sort of the standout, God. Do you know, it sounds really, really funny, but I will never ever forget it. And it's the first year I did the show season and Whitney Houston was backstage at a Versace show. And I know it's really silly, but I literally was so starstruck. I was like, oh my God, that's Whitney Houston. You know, and my mum's still got a picture of me here, and she's way back in the background, me taking a picture like this. But, you know, there were so many sort of brushing shoulders with a lot of them, and then doing the hair, you know, and sort of traveling the world with them privately has been, you know, I've gone to some amazing places and locations, stayed in some amazing places, and met some great people, you know, and it's sort of, I've had a wonderful, wonderful time.
Great opportunities that have come as a result.
Yeah.
So now you're on Sky Living, The Face.
Yes.
So how did that come about? Tell us how that happened.
Sky Living, I've been doing Naomi Campbell off and on for about 15 years. And so I quite often do a lot of her photo shoots or big jobs that she has. She normally calls me in. Right. And then, you know, she said, I really want you to do this. And it was 6 weeks filming, which was a long period for me to take out of my sort of normal routine, like the shows to other jobs. But I did it for Naomi, and I had a fantastic time as well. It was, you know, it was long, long days, sort of like 16-hour days, some of them, on location and set, but it was great fun.
Good experiences.
Yeah, great experience.
So tell me a little bit about what you're doing now, the projects that you're either doing or that are in the pipeline.
Well, it's very exciting actually, because, you know, as I'm starting to get a little older, I'm starting to have to think about my future and to get something more solid. So I sort of have come up with my business partner. We've got this great sort of plan, which we've kind of taken the basic sort of module from America, the blow dry bars, but we're going to add updos to it. And so I'm opening all these blow dry businesses and blow dry bars around London. Hopefully there's one coming near you soon. Excellent. And they're going to be called Duck and Dry. And it's very affordable, sort of hairdressing blow dries and updos at, like, you know, a very affordable price. And a lot of the styles in the lookbook that we've already shot is sort of stuff from the runway, which I've sort of brought down to the high street, so people can actually wear it, but they can still sort of identify with, oh yeah, that's from the Gucci show, or that's from Tom Ford's show, or do you know what I mean? But so I've made it more wearable for the consumer and hopefully affordable for everyone. And
would you say that you're all about making everything that you do backstage accessible to your clients?
I think it's important, I really do, because I think, you know, a lot of people want to feel like they're up with the fashion and the time and the trends, and I think it's really important as hairdressers to train ourselves, to change our clients. You know, it's quite easy doing the same thing on them every 6 weeks or every week, but you know, we've got to sort of push ourselves to keep them moving forward. And you know, I don't think that people ever lose clients. I think that clients just move on because you haven't changed them or keep pushing them forward, which I think, you know, whether it's a side parting back to a middle or a fringe or no fringe, you know, something small makes a big difference to someone.
It's about keeping them excited.
Yeah,
definitely.
And passionate about it.
And then if you're passionate, that translates back to them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, well, thank you very much. We really look forward to seeing more about your business in the future. And thank you for taking the time out today in the studio.
Thank you.
It's been lovely having you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As part of the creative team in Vidal Sassoon Advanced Academy, we used to travel extensively. This was to actually market Vidal Sassoon, which was about detailing, suitability and style. Some of them were big shows, you know, to thousands of people. Some of them were smaller shows and more intimate. When travelling, I learned about demographic, cultures, economies, hair type, face shapes, body shapes, all these elements which make us into great hairdressers. So from this, I developed specific skills to help these people in these countries with their needs. Education is a human right, and it's something we all need to develop ourselves. And that was part of linking to myhairdressers.com, because one of the main things that we wanted to do was provide education for everybody in the world at an affordable price, to increase their turnover so they can make more money, so they can afford more education, so they can move ahead in their lives. One of the main ingredients, and that was passion and love for doing hairdressing.
Hi, this is Enna. We're doing our bit for the environment.
We try to be as conscious as we can of our carbon footprint. For example, we've got water dispensers on every floor that dispense hot and cold water, and you see, as opposed to using bottled water, for example, which has quite a big carbon footprint, we try to just use paper out of the recycle bin, so we don't have to keep using more and more paper.
You know, from a sustainability point of view, I think for us, coming into this business venture, we weren't as pro or conscious about sustainability, and I think one of the biggest influences for us was our product company. The sustainability is at the forefront of everything that they do, and I think that can only influence us in our decisions, and it kind of breeds a culture within us.
Everything that you kind of see in the salon furnishings are of a refurbished wood, so we're using scaffolding boards. We do have sensor lights which are a lot in the toilets, in beauty rooms. We also use a sensor light within a lot of the product displays because the LED bulbs tend to use a lot more energy. Sensor lights will last for around about 10 years as well. Downstairs we have a recycling system.
We use, I don't know if you've seen in the salon, products, we reuse the leave-in conditioner sprays as water sprays. So we always try and anything that can be reused, like our carrier bags, if the guys buy their lunch, we use it in the bins throughout the salon.
So the boxes of a new colour in particular are made with a vegetable-based ink, and they're made of recycled card on the outside, so we can recycle all of our boxes. Our finest pigment bottles are made from certain plastic that's easily recyclable, but also the products, the finest pigment is up to 99% naturally derived, so as soon as that goes into the water, there's no harsh chemicals going back into the ocean or into water that could be damaging. Also the same as new colour, so it all comes full circle exactly back into water again. And we try and do as much as we can. If there is any waste product, we try and put that into the bin instead of down the sink.
I mean, I think it's common sense to mix just the right amount of product and not more. It is good for the environment because you avoid wasting product. It is good in terms of spending as well. Obviously, you don't want to waste product for an economical reason as well. Well, I think nowadays everybody is getting a little bit more aware of our environment and the impact we have on nature. I think it's just about trying to give advice and tips to everybody to try and just learn from each other on how to better recycle.
welcome today to renowned Australian hairdresser and educator Sharon Blain, who's taken time out of your schedule in the UK to join us. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Now, you've come all the way from Australia, obviously. Thank you so much for being here. And this is your Salon International debut, so tell me, what's it been like?
Well, it's been a debut on a fewer levels because we've actually did our first education program 2 days before Salon.
Great.
And then, of course, we've done the 3 days at Salon. We've had a stand there, which has been very, very interesting experience. We've been promoting our DVDs and education program, which has been very, very exciting. Got to meet and greet lots and lots of people. And I had a little gig on the International Hairdressers Journal stand, and that was great. It was a bit daunting. You know, it's strange when you don't have your sort of normal audience around you. When you're comfortable and you look at everybody and you know their faces, when you look out here, you don't know anyone. So it's all a bit overwhelming.
So tell me a little bit about the styles that you've been presenting at the event.
Oh, look, you know, I've been working on lots of different things. I've been trying to come up with something that looks like a braid, but it's not a braid. Sounds a bit corny, doesn't it? I'm a bit done with the braid thing. So I've been working on a few different techniques with using a latch hook and some, like a rug making thing. So I've come up with a few really cool techniques for that. And I ended up getting a model with hair that was right down past her backside. I actually thought she had extensions when she showed up because I hadn't met her before. So all of a sudden I'm confronted by this massive head of hair that I'm now going to turn into something. So we did a really cool sort of pony with a bind on it, so that was great. And I've got this thing after doing my hairdresser early in the year, a bit of a 40s feel in my heart. I think we're seeing a little bit of a revival in a modern way. So I worked on a Victory roll shape. And the last one was a very fine hair model, and it was a bit sci-fi. I'm quite liking the look of this sort of futuristic sort of feel with hair as well. So I did a bit of trick with some bobby pins. So that all went really nice. Good. Just 3 models, very easy for me, but more stressful than probably anything I've done for a while too.
And where do you get your inspiration from to create looks like these?
Look, you know, I'm a mad Pinterest fan, and I pin about 50 pins a day on the Sharon Blain education site. But I'm always obviously looking at runway, magazines, photo shoots, even architecture and different paintings and artworks. I get really inspired by lots of different things like that. And I've always got this thing about, I wonder if I can turn that into hair. And I've been working just recently with a fantastic person who's been doing graphic design, and we're doing laser cutting with hair now. So I've got all hyped on laser cutting. So always trying to push the envelope to see what else we can do with hair.
And see how you can use things
differently.
How can you
do it in a different way? Yeah, that still looks attractive and still looks desirable, but just an edge. Yeah.
And have you noticed that there's a marked trend between what people are wearing in the UK and what they wear in Australia, obviously taking the seasons into account?
Well, the seasons are always going to be an issue because we're just going into summer and you're coming into winter. I don't think really there's that much difference, particularly in the colour and cut area. But we are much more sort of lifestyle organised, if you get my drift. So it's all a bit more beach, a bit more natural, a bit more sort of not quite as done, a little bit more contrived hair. So there's always going to be that twist on something that's a little bit more structured, but just sort of down played a little bit. But I think we stayed pretty much on par. I'm looking at the finalists for the awards, and I thought, you know, this is what I've been judging for the hairdressing awards at home, so I don't think there's a huge difference.
So
I think we're doing pretty well. Yeah,
that's good. And what do you think are set to be the forthcoming trends in Australia for 2014?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I should have done some research.
We can research now.
Well, no, look, I still think we're going to see a little bit of that pastel-y hair colour. I'm a bit done with it.
Okay.
I'm praying that hairdressers might just pass on the dip dye and that type of ombre colouring. I'm feeling at home it's an issue because we have such dry, you know, conditions are really harsh for hair. So when you've got fabulous, you know, brown hair and it goes into a fried up blonde, it looks a little bit more, you know, distressed than it should be because of the climate at home. So I'd like to think maybe they might just take the colour through a little bit more. But I'm a bit of a red hair fan, but I think there's a bit of red out there at the moment as well. I can see a bit of warm movement coming through in colour tones. And I do think we're still going to see the undercut, but there's so many varieties of bobs But there's bobs done in so many cool ways. You know, I don't think it's ever going to die. It's just mixing it up in a different way and dressing it out a little bit differently.
And moving on to you, what's next for you? Tell me a little bit more.
Wow, for me, I'm hoping this time next year we will have completed our first international boot camp in Europe. We're now booked to go into Canada and New York for next year, as well as LA again. Right. So that's pretty cool. So boot camps are 5-day intensive education, and you don't lose any weight. You just learn to do hair. So it's a really intensive 5-day course that I teach, just learning the good solid foundations for dressing hair. Great. So that's my future. We've just launched the app at Hair Expo, so the Sharon Blain How To Long Hair app, I think that's how you say it. I get a bit confused sometimes. Yeah, so the app's in the Apple Store, and that's looking really cool. So we're just growing that, and I'm really keen to start in the new year, and we've got our place all set up now to do on a monthly basis just a pay-to-view evening with me. So like an hour and a half of something new, probably just with a mannequin head. Great. But some education so people can just keep in check with what's going on, and keeps me inspired to come up with something a bit different as well.
So education's where it's at for you?
For me, that's my passion. You know, I have my hairdressing salons, I have my disposable towel business, but there's no doubt about it, the thing that's first and foremost for me is always going to be education, and particularly trying to inspire young people to be the best they can be and learn to be super skilled. I think in this day and age, you have to be incredibly skilled in this industry to be really outstanding. You know, I met a young girl today, and she's just finishing hairdressing college. I said, oh, you're going to work in a salon when you finish the course? She said, oh no, I'm just going to go straight into hair and makeup and television. And I thought, oh, don't do the mother lecture here. No, stop now. You say, oh, isn't that wonderful? And I thought, how does one move from college immediately into that? You know, people forget that there's just years and years of practice, experience and knowledge that it takes to even open the door a little and get inside the door. So they're the sort of people I'd like to sort of maybe help, you know, move along in their career path if
and
they're
navigate
open for that.
In the right way.
Yeah, mentor those guys through that journey. And that's who I attract in my classes, these young, inspirational kids that really have a passion to be more than just standing behind the chair.
Yeah, of course. And learning from the best as well, which
well,
is
you know,
good.
47 years of experience, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in there and in here. So, and I've put it together in a little tiny basket with a bow on it, so it's been refined and refined. So just learn the tricks and you'll get the outcome.
The fundamentals.
That's how I see it. Yeah, I think it's essential.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh,
it's been
so
lovely
nice
having you here today.
Good to be here.
And thank you for taking the time out. I know you're busy, so I hope to see you soon.
Yes, you will.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Education is about nurturing people and giving them confidence. Learning is about observing, taking part in practical, questioning and listening. I was lucky to be part of the development of the lectures for the step-by-step tutorials. Putting these on the internet means that people can learn at their own time and at their own pace. These tutorials allow people to learn in small bites, and this is in line with traditional and tried methods which were developed in the 60s of teaching and learning. The web means people have time to synthesize, comprehend and evaluate. We call it the see-do method. I use this in my business alongside with myhairdressers.com. What's great about it is that you learn small pieces, and then it's like going up a step ladder. You learn slowly and you build your skills and your techniques. Using the see-do technique breaks down the mechanics of doing hair cutting and hair colouring.
The See-Do training programme has been developed using myhairdressers.com and MHD student packs
to create continuity for students and tutors using visual learning,
with high quality, easy to follow step-by-step videos and printed media.
It can be initiated into existing curriculum schedules, schemes of work and lesson plans.
Teaching in a salon environment, either one-to-one or in a group using one computer.
You need internet access, computer, laptop, tablet, smartphone, headphones, printer, ink, paper, relevant hairdressing equipment, good quality training heads, stands, step-by-step PDFs, head sheets.
Choose the video tutorial and print off the relevant PDF. One for each person. Read the PDF first together. This will give everyone an overview of the technique and required products and equipment.
Watch the entire video tutorial together from start to finish using the PDF as a visual reference and for note-taking. The notes will help prompt you during the do process. Consider sectioning, angles, body position, guidelines and method. Look for detail.
In the words of Charles R. Swindoll, remember the difference between something good and something great is attention to detail. Now it is time to do the first process in pairs.
Working in partners will help with focus, clarity, checking, accuracy, and it will also create a team dynamic. Watch, see the video tutorial up to the end of the sectioning, then pause. One person of the pair sections off the training head using the PDF as a reference. Use areas of the head as guidelines: the recession, temples, ears, crown, parietal ridge, occipital bone and nape. Then the other person of the pair checks the sectioning. The second team member can then adjust the sectioning if necessary. This is the first time the see, do, stop, check, the pause and the pause system is used.
Now watch the contributor's first action or section C. Pause the video tutorial. One person copies the contributor's action or section do. Stop and then the second person checks the work. If necessary, watch the part of the video tutorial again. Repetition and evaluation is the key to learning.
You have now completed the see, do, stop, check method.
The power is in the pause.
Pausing allows you to simulate information, revise and check.
See, do, stop and then check.
Now repeat this process with the next part of the video.
This time, swap the team roles of doing and checking. Watch a section of the video tutorial, see. Pause. Do a section of the task, do. Take time to stop and check.
Now repeat this process throughout the video tutorial technique.
Watch a section of the video tutorial, see. Pause. Person 1 does a section of the task, do. Person 2 checks. Then person 2 does a section. Then person 1 checks.
This learning situation promotes achievement as teamwork engages both parties, encourages discussion, clarity, accuracy and evaluation.
The see, do, stop, check method will revolutionise your learning and teaching experience.
Remember, the power is in the pause. Be patient and attend to detail.
Repetition and evaluation is key to learning.
Teamwork will encourage inclusion, clarity, accuracy, evaluation and create a good team dynamic.
Welcome back to MHD Live, and this afternoon in the studio it's my pleasure to welcome Dale, Ted Watkins and Twisted Wheel. Thank you all so much for being here today.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Now Dale, we'll start with you. I know you've been at Salon International this weekend, so tell me a little bit about what you've been doing.
This weekend generally I've been looking at other people's work, generally just to see how we are in the industry and what's happening, but I've been on my friend's stall, or his showpiece, which is Men's Hairdressing Federation. It's a new federation that started up this year to kind of showcase men's hairdressing today. It's been very interesting.
Great. And obviously you're renowned for men's hairdressing
very kind of you,
yourself. And why do you think that, you know, male grooming really is a booming part of the hairdressing industry?
Well, I think personally it's the female industry has been sort of like so much further ahead than the grooming industry, and I think that, you know, masculinity and men's grooming is becoming so popular now. You know, women wants man to look good, but also we want to look good. You know, we have many icons now. We want to kind of, you know, look like our icons and be, you know, as cool, fashionable, and as stylish as, you know, what we see on the media.
And what do you consider to be the major differences between traditional barbering and the emergence of men's hairdressing?
They're both interesting worlds, okay? The traditional barbershop has, you know, certain techniques, certain understanding of hair, certain looks within the world of masculinity. I tend to work in the world of session work. So I take those barbering skills, but I also mix them with more hairdressing skills, because when I'm on set I might need to blow dry, I might need to straighten hair. So with my hairdressing skills, with my background in barbering, I can then go to any set and I can style any male head of hair to whatever my client needs, really. So for me, it's a slight crossover between hairdressing and barbering, but the two give me the perfect mix of both skills, which I respect equally, for what I want to do in my career.
Okay. And do you think this growth in men's hairdressing is a worldwide trend?
Well, I think now with media, you know, YouTube and all of these kind of social medias, that clearly everything is instant now, isn't it? You know, you see a look, you want that look. You know, you go to a hairdresser or your barber and you want to kind of recreate that look. So it's instant and it's clearly global.
And obviously you work with a lot of bands, especially up-and-coming bands like Twisted Wheel, who we've got here today. So how did you get into that?
Well, I started doing session work a couple of years ago with a good friend of mine called Dean Chalkley. He's a very famous photographer. I started doing certain bands, worked with certain magazines, NME and Uncut. So you kind of get, once you get your foot in that world, you know, your agent helps you to get other bands. And, you know, for me, I love it dearly because, you know, I like to kind of hang with all the cool kids and the kids from, you know, they've all got their own kind of sort of thing. But what I do is I like to kind of take, you know, what they already have and just slightly, you know, sort of sprinkle a little bit of what I can do for them to help their look a little bit stronger.
And do you work closely with them on their look?
Of course, you know, it's not as contrived as, you know, what we're going to look like today, Dale. You know, clearly they have their own look, they've got a strong look, you know, it comes from the street, it's cool as. But what I can do is I can use my skills just to kind of make it that little bit more polished, that little bit more kind of strong, which is what I do. My job really is to make people look good.
And Twisted Wheel, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, you guys clearly have a great image. Now, what would you say your image is actually influenced by? Is it street culture? Is it music?
A combination of things, from music that we like, street, the life, struggle, strife, love, you know, having good times. It's just a combination, loads of things. And I just think I don't think we think too much about it. I think we just sort of naturally. Natural. Just natural, yeah. We just like good stuff, maybe have good taste, I don't know. Yeah. We just, you know.
Whatever's inspiring you at that time,
yeah.
would you say?
I mean, different things inspire different days, you know. Sometimes from you know, I like Victorian days, you know. Some things from them days inspire me, even things before that. Sometimes it might be something more recent, you know. Just depends what day it is, really, you know.
Well, you've all got great hair, so the question is hair important to you?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Especially when it's cut by such a fine gentleman.
That's very kind of you, sir. That's very kind, thank you.
Well, yeah, you know, you have bad days, you have good days, whatever, all right?
Of course. Now, I know that you guys are currently touring and you have a single out, so tell me a little bit more about that.
We don't actually have a single out right at the moment, but we are touring, and you can come and see us all around the UK.
Great.
Can check us out on Facebook, on YouTube, all the gigs are there, and yeah, come and see us, rock and roll.
It sounds good, thank you.
They're great, by the way.
And back to you, Dale. So what advice can you give to those people who are starting out in the industry and you know, they look to someone like you and they want to progress their career?
I think sometimes what you need isn't generally around your area, or isn't necessarily always in your area. Sometimes you need to travel to obtain the skills that you need. It doesn't come to you. So be prepared to travel. Be prepared to kind of work within a group of people that are better than you. You know, kind of always strive to work with better people, to inspire you. Just keep rolling on it, and as you get older, your skills get greater, and therefore your opportunities grow as well.
And there you say essential steps that people need to take.
I think you need great education, great training, be around great mentors, positive thinkers, people that want to push you and help you and guide you. You know, I'm a big fan of being around inspirational people, regardless of what their kind of trade is, photographers, whatever it is. They inspire me. They inspire you to be as good as them, or you know, to kind of go on a road that you want to, you know, to be the person you want to be, and that's a journey you must start.
Excellent. Well, listen, thank you all so much for taking the time out, and it's been lovely to meet you guys. I wish you the best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
And Dale, I hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So now we'll just
That's
talk
great,
amongst ourselves.
Thank you very much.
There's loads of details in the clothes actually. It's a really, really fun collection and lots of colour, and we actually felt there's some really big chunky scarves, and actually keeping it away from the face really showed off the clothes. Also there's a really beautiful strong lip, and it was nice just to take the hair away so you're exposing that fresh face, but you've got that really strong lip, and then with the clothes it just sits beautifully. Some of the girls are coming into the castings with that really worn-in hair. And we're recreating that with sort of a little bit more of a luxe feel to the hair, which is really great. But it really is about soft, fresh movability. Then we're going to have a really nice high ponytail, so actually when they walk down the catwalk you really get that bouncy pony to the hair, which is great. It's got a really modernity really, just because you've got the texture. We're not getting rid of the loose hair, we're sort of really showing that off. All through the front you're just going to have this really nice, soft, slightly tousled halo effect to the hair, which keeps it really, really modern, but still grown up, and it's got that real woman sort of feel to it.
So welcome back to MHD Live, and now it's an absolute pleasure to welcome Paul Phillips into the studio. Thank you for taking the time out. I know how busy you are. So let's start with everything that you've been doing on the fashion side of things. I know you have your own salon, but you work backstage a lot at the catwalk shows. Tell me a little bit about what you've done this season.
So yeah, like you say, my hub is CHOPP. That's my salon. So when I kind of taken time away from there when the fashion weeks are on, so we've just sort of finished doing Men's London Fashion Week.
Great.
Doing a lot of campaigns for that, which was, you know, I do both men and women's hair, but kind of getting heavily involved in just styling men was really good fun actually. It was a real good insight into up and coming trends and what's going to be kind of, you know, coming down onto the street in the next sort of few seasons really.
And I think as a salon owner that's obviously incredibly important, isn't it, knowing that you can actually bring back what you've learned and translate it for your clients. Do you think that your clients appreciate that?
Exactly that, Emma. You know, I kind of before I started getting involved in the session work, I was kind of looking through magazines or on the internet looking at what's going on the catwalks, and now I feel quite fortunate because I'm there amongst it. And you know, sooner or later those trends do follow through. You start seeing them in your top shops and your high street kind of retail outlets, and then you know the kids on the street, then they start sort of sporting hairstyles that I saw a few seasons ago in the fashion weeks. So, and my clients like it because they feel that I'm keeping them up to date with the latest trends.
Of course, which is so important, isn't it, especially now?
Definitely.
So tell me now, moving on to education, about your experience as an employer using the MHD student support packs.
Okay, so I'm a global ambassador for myhairdressers.com, as well as sort of running CHOPP as my business, and it's great because it allows me to kind of have that continuity, so that I can attract, you know, talented members of staff to come to me because they know the training is going to be fantastic, and also for young recruits coming through the ranks. I mean, an analogy that I can best describe it, I'm really into my football. Imagine Manchester United, you know, walking into their changing rooms and the team have got their kits lined up and their names on the back of the shirts and their numbers and their boots have been freshly cleaned. It's so organised. And then you play on a Sunday league football and their kit's in a black bag, the socks are all uneven. You know, like it's that level of professionalism. So when I'm training sort of the young guys coming through the ranks and I'm using the MHD support packs and student packs, it's just fantastic because they know that they're going through all the stages at such a high level. And I think for students out there who aren't aware of MHD, you know, when you just qualify from a college and you don't use MHD, the standard is so different. So it's great for that.
And what would you say the benefits have been to your team since you began using myhairdressers.com?
The benefits for my team, we're becoming better educators because it isn't just me who passes on the information. You know, I've got a team of people who, you know, might do hair extensions, hair up, colour. I get heavily involved in the cutting. So we're becoming better educators and the students are becoming better all-round hairdressers because they're not just focusing on one area. My Hairdressers allows you to branch out and touch all areas.
And would you say that education is very much at the heart of what you do?
Definitely, because without that, you know, I'm 2 years into a business and, you know, it's going really well so far, but I'm aiming big and I want a long sort of career path. So, you know, without educating them right now, it's not going to be long-lived really.
And do you have any advice for employers considering purchasing a membership of myhairdressers.com? What would you say?
I think if you're looking to kind of educate your staff to a standard whereby if you want to leave the salon and go off and do your session work and you're fortunate enough to be in that position where you can do that, and I come away from the salon knowing that the standard is kept at a 5-star standard with or without me in the salon. So that is priceless really.
Yeah, and you've got the benefit of knowing that everything's smooth running at all times.
Definitely. You know.
And what would you say the future is for you?
Well, I want to keep travelling and keep learning because that never stops. I'm constantly criticising my own work and I want it always to be better and better. So I guess keep pushing really. I'm very driven, I'm very focused, and I'm not going to stop learning really.
Excellent, that sounds good. Well, thank you very much for the insight into your business and also, you know, the educational side of what you do. I really appreciate the time that you've taken.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure, thank you. Thank you.
That's all right.
Thank you so much for tuning in to MHD Live today, where we've been live from the YouTube space in London. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. We've had some insights from some great names in British hairdressing, and we hope to welcome you back to our site very soon.